KPMG's 2024 CEO Outlook report is here. It's a punchy report and filled with some juicy insights. Some of those may surprise you. KPMG actually analyzed 1,300 CEOs across the globe. Out of those, about 500 CEOs in the US. They actually asked them 5 different questions. What do they think about the economy? The strength of economy, how positive they feel. What are these CEOs doing about generative AI? And what is the future and investments of generative AI in their company? How big they are on merger and acquisitions? What is their strategy for acquiring talent? And how strongly they feel about their sustainability goals? I think these 5 questions are very strong questions and give you fantastic guidance on what's happening globally in the markets. And just in case you didn't know who KPMG is, KPMG is among the top big 4 consulting firms. Their insights on economy and what's happening globally is very well respected. So this report is something to be taken seriously. Alright, so let's go into the report. But before I do that, KPMG actually used a term called compound volatility. A combination of 2 factors. One is risks to their short-term business, and then second are headwinds and risks to their long-term strategy for their growth in line with their values, in their market, in their strategic area. So KPMG basically said, let's utilize the compound volatility index or as a metric when we review all these 5 questions and the answers of these CEOs. So let's go one by one. First comes business environment. 75% of the CEOs are actually quite confident about the global economy. 85% of the global CEOs feel extremely confident about their company and the country they are based in. That's a great sign. That shows that while this whole year of 2024 and portions of 23 have been slow in terms of business globally, I think that market is ready to bounce back. Now, when asked about what are the main challenges these guys see from an environmental perspective or business environment perspective, number 1 thing was how do they adopt emerging technologies? Number 2 was how do they address geopolitical uncertainties, all the wars going on around them? And number 3 is the economic uncertainty. Those are obviously some of the pain points they've been seeing. So while the CEOs feel positive and confident about the economy bouncing back, they are still concerned about geopolitical, economic, and ability to embrace emerging technologies as a whole. Here is an interesting one though. When asked about what are those top 3 short-term challenges they are seeing, cyber security turns out to be one of the biggest ones. 54% of the CEOs actually mentioned that their ability to handle a cyber attack is minimal, or that is something which they worry about. 41% of them, again related to cyber security, they said their inability to hire for talents to keep up with the advancements in cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. And about 40% of them felt unsure about keeping up with the evolving cybersecurity risks in overall. 70% of the CEOs mentioned that they are increasing their investments in cybersecurity. That's a great signal. If you are reading as a consultant, if you work in cybersecurity, that's a pretty positive sign going towards the end of this year and into early 2025. Now let's move to the second dimension of the report. So the question was to understand what these CEOs are doing about generative AI investments. So about 68% of the CEOs mentioned that generative AI investments are a strategic imperative for their organization. Again, that's a pretty strong signal for the whole industry and where people are looking to make investments. 68% of the CEOs said that they are expecting return on investment on a 3 to 5 year horizon in generative AI. This data point is important. This shows that CEOs are, at least 70% of the CEOs are quite level-headed. They're not expecting magic out of generative AI. They're in fact expecting the returns to come in 3 to 5 years term. That's an excellent signal again for a service provider, for a company like Microsoft, company like Google and Amazon's who are actually making long-term investments. That market is very receptive and is also going to show a little patience towards the investments they're making. Now, the report also highlighted what are those areas of investment. So number one is finance and accounting. Number two is sales and marketing. Number three is information technology. And again, I'm not surprised, but these are at least a global signal what we can draw from the report. And the top benefits of making Gen AI investments are fairly common, which everybody can think of: increasing efficiency, improving innovation, improving the speed of innovation. Now, when CEOs were asked what are the big challenges they face in terms of implementing Gen AI in their organizations, so ethics and regulatory framework, these were the two issues the CEOs highlighted in the report. The third dimension is merger and acquisition. And as we know, merger and acquisition is typically top of the mind for CEOs for strategic growth. There are very little organic opportunities to continue growing for companies. That is the truth. If you are looking to grow organically, you better be one of those most innovative companies. Otherwise, merger and acquisition, going and acquiring companies in the adjacency of what your business is the strategic imperative of most CEOs. The report confirms the same mentality globally as well. And most CEOs which are going to be making investments, they've clearly mentioned in the report that they're going to be postponing their merger and acquisition decisions until either middle of 2025 or even to early 2026. There are probably 1/3 of the CEOs or lower than that who are ready to make decisions sooner than that. But here is the catch: they will still wait for the US elections to get done. The fourth dimension is talent and culture. 80% of the CEOs want the workforce to come back to office completely. Again, this is fairly standard. We are seeing that happen. I've talked about it recently on one of my videos where Amazon announced for their workers to come back to office. But the most important data point to take from this report in the talent and culture management was that CEOs, majority of them are saying that they do not see Gen AI reducing number of people or the headcounts in their company. 1/3 of the CEOs in fact feel that with Gen AI, the number of headcounts might go up as well. And last dimension of the survey, and not the most healthy data point which comes out from this, only 54% of the CEOs think they will meet their net zero carbon goals by 2030. Now that's a departure. We have seen this happen widely, by the way. With generative AI, the need for huge processors, we are already seeing companies track back on their net zero carbon emission goals. A lot of companies, big companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, they have revised their targets or they are basically reworking their targets. But on the same front, about 74% of the CEOs very strongly believe that with ESG efforts, it's actually going to impact positively on their revenue as well. And customer today is very careful about making some of those choices as well. So it will have an impact on companies who are contributing to the sustainability initiatives. Well, that's it. Those are the 5 signals, important things which I found from the report. They're sending a very clear signal to the market. I think there are a few positive signals to pick up from this report. If you're interested in reading the whole report, the link is going to be in the description. Thank you so much. Bye.